What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. We're gonna discuss how to meal prep from start to finish. We're gonna go to the grocery store just here in a minute, and I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like and what it takes to simply meal prep your food for the week so that you're best prepared to stay on track with your health and fitness goals, making sure you're eating right and as well as eating the right amount of food. Let's get started. All right guys, the first things first, you're gonna wanna go to your local grocery store. We're here at one of my favorite stores, and that is Sam's Club. I like to buy in bulk, and so Sam's Club, or if you guys have Costco, is gonna be the best bet to buy in bulk as well as cook in bulk. So let me just show you guys, I'm gonna keep it super basic. If you are in my program, you will have your meal plan in our app, and basically there is a shopping list in there that you will be able to review and base your shopping grocery list from there. This helps to keep it super organized, simple. You don't need anything else but exactly what is in your meal plan. All right, so we're starting off with the dry stuff, and my go-to protein shakes are gonna be these raw guys. They're super easy to have on hand if you're on the go. I sometimes drink them after my workouts or with my breakfast. You can do these, or you can do protein powder. I like to have both. Protein powder I'll drink after my workout, and then these shakes are just good to have on go. Plus they're on sale for 19 bucks for a pack of 12. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab me some. The next thing I'm gonna get is Himalayan pink salt. This is actually a really good salt here to use instead of regular salt. Himalayan salt has a lot of benefits, keep you staying hydrated as well. So one thing about those that are in my program is that you get to season your foods how you like. And so feel free to grab any type of seasoning that sounds good. I'm actually gonna grab the grilled chicken with sea salt, garlic, and herbs. This will just be a great addition to when we cook our chicken. Jasmine rice, one of the best carb sources that you can have in your diet. It's very clean, lean, and fast digesting. All right guys, if you like to drink soda, one of the best ways to lower your sugar intake is stop drinking regular soda and stick to either diet or zero sugar. With that said, we're going with a 30 pack of Diet Dr. Pepper. I sometimes will drink at least one, if not two per day. It's not gonna hurt you, trust me. Anyone who tells you that diet is bad for you, do your research and look up all the ingredients that they have. A lot of times you'll find that the ingredients that are listed in these drinks are actually within natural foods such as fruit, just at different dosages. So do your research, trust me. If you drink soda, stick with diet or zero sugar. They have a zero sugar option here. It's gonna be your best bet. The next essential is going to be eggs. Whenever you're getting eggs, just make sure that they're all solid, not cracked. And typically we do eat a lot of eggs in the house, so I usually go with 24 pack here. Eggs is one of the most essential key protein sources as well as fat sources that you can get. It's very nutrient dense, and it's gonna be great to add in your diet. Egg whites, another very high protein source and literally 0 grams of fat. Very low in calories as well. This is another great option to make sure you're getting your protein intake up throughout the day, especially for breakfast. So we got the Chobani 20-gram protein per cup here, 0 sugar added. So 0 sugars for 20 grams of protein per container is actually really, really good. I typically will go with another brand called Ratio at Walmart. So look out for those if you shop at Walmart, but I'm just gonna grab these since we're already here. All right, our next high protein source is gonna be cooked shrimp. I'm gonna just throw this on the pan here. This is another great high protein source and is going to really benefit your muscle building goals. One of the biggest keys on your fitness journey is gonna be making sure you guys are staying hydrated. So just to have on the go, we're just gonna grab the water bottles just to have on hand. One case here. So out of a lot of different options for carb sources, we're gonna go with the yellow golden potatoes. I kind of like these over the russet white potatoes just because there's a little bit more flavor, the texture's a little bit more softer, but we're gonna stick with this for our secondary carb source along with the white rice. One of the best healthy fat sources you're gonna get is going to be from avocados. You can really put this on really any meal you want, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. I typically like to have this with almost every single meal. So this is a must. We're gonna do lean ground beef. We got the 93.7 lean. Always go for either 90 to 10% or higher if you're going with ground beef to keep it super lean. You guys would typically see me eat bagels for breakfast or even with my post-protein shake. Bagels, they're very high in calories, but They are a great carb source and they taste really well, in my opinion. I'm definitely a bread guy, so I do like my bread, but if you're able to have them, plain bagels are the way to go. We got our good old chicken breast here. I just go with the big pack because it's ready to cook, and the only thing I'll have to do is just cut the fat off, but there's like 7 big old breasts in here. This will last you, depending on how much chicken you eat, pretty much all week. This will be a must in your diet. For our sweet tooth treat here, I definitely love my chips. So we're going with popcorners. This one has a variety of different flavors, and the most calories that one of them has are 140 calories. So I just use these appropriately when my calories and macros are dialed in and I'm looking to enjoy a little treat for myself. For one final sweet tooth craving here, I typically like to have like a late night snack, and I'll usually have 1 packet of these. My boys also love these. They are high in sugar, so keep aware of that. But like I said, if you can allow these to fit in your calories and macro goals, you should be fine. 1 packet only consists of 110 calories. The total grams of sugar is going to be 8, but if you can, again, allow it into your calories and macros, you should be fine. So with that said, think about everything else as far as your food goes is pretty healthy. Having 1 of these a day isn't going to necessarily hurt your diet or your progress, just again, as long as you're dialing in your calories and macros. All right, guys, that will do it for our grocery haul. Now that you've gotten all your essentials, you followed the grocery list, you got in your meal plan that your coach gave you if you have a coach. If you're in my program, just follow the app, the shopping list to a T, and you should be good to go. The next thing is going home, getting everything all prepped up, and cooking and meal prepping your food. So let's get to it. Welcome to the kitchen. We have now gotten all the essentials, basically what we're going to prep for the whole week. And pretty much this is how you're gonna be able to cook in bulk. And so we're just gonna take it step by step, keep it super simple, and show you guys what I do to prep my food for the week. Now let's talk about why meal prepping is important. The idea when you prep ahead is so that you can succeed throughout the week. Just think about any other case where you plan ahead of time rather than just trying to wing it the day of. You're gonna be able to stick to the plan a lot better and have an idea of what to expect when you plan ahead. So the same thing goes when you meal prep your food in advance. You almost don't have to think about what your next meal is going to be, how much of that meal you're going to have, and as well as what time of the day do you need to eat. Because all those 3 things do matter, and when you can eliminate them all within 1 day with just a few hours of prep and grocery shopping, your chances of success is going to be a lot higher throughout the week of staying on track with your health and fitness goals if you just take care of your meal prep. So without further ado, let's get started. What we're simply gonna start off with is cooking all the meats and the carbs in bulk, and then we'll go ahead and meal prep everything out. Let's get started. First things first, I typically just like to get the rice done. And so when cooking in bulk, you want to do anywhere from 3 to 4 cups, depending on how many meals you're going to make. That usually lasts about anywhere from 4 to 5 days worth. So we'll just make about 3 cups here. Always, always, always wash your rice. What I like to do is just do this about 2 or 3 times. One more time, and then all the Asians out here will know this little trick. Basically, you'll just do a little fingertip measurement. So just make sure everything's leveled out. Put your finger in there. Once you touch the rice, that'll be the level. So it's just right on that line is where you wanna meet the rice. And so that's perfect there. I'm just gonna throw this guy on the rice cooker. We got sticky white rice, and pretty much it's good to go. So you just hit start, and that is the rice. What you could also do too, if you want to flavor up your rice, is just go ahead and throw some Himalayan salt in here. We'll definitely be using that again. Now she's ready to go. That'll take anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes. The next thing we're gonna do is prep the potatoes. We'll probably cook about 5 potatoes here. Now, just like with the rice, you typically want to wash the potatoes as they can contain a lot of dirt. So we'll just go ahead and rinse them off a little bit. Now, what I'm gonna also do is grab a pot, fill it up with water, and we're gonna boil that, because what we're gonna do is boil this potato. That's how we're gonna cook it in bulk. Now, I typically just like to eye things out. With the water, I'll fill it up about 1/4 of the way, if not half of the way. You don't need too much because when you put the potatoes in, it'll sink down and the water will rise. Go to about medium high. Another hack here, just put a little bit more salt in the water. We'll let that boil. Next up is cutting. So we're gonna cut the potatoes up and dice them up nice and squared. Really, you can dice it up however you like your potatoes. So typically how I cut my potatoes was, number one, I like to just cut out all the bad edges. So anything you see that you really don't wanna put into your body, you can just cut aside. Once it's done, I'll just basically cut mine in half. Start off with one side, cut it in half again, and then I'll cut it a quarter, turn it around, and I'll cut it again. Now I got 4 cuts in this. Doesn't have to be perfect. That's one thing I'll say about meal prepping, is it doesn't have to be perfect. The more you do this, the more you'll get better at it. Now meal prepping on Sundays is gonna be ideal, because then you'll have all your meals ready to go 3 to maybe 5 days in advance during the week, and you don't have to worry about your food. All right, now that we've cut the potatoes, we're gonna wait for the water to boil. And in the meantime, we're gonna prep our meats next. Because we're already cutting, we're just gonna start off with cutting the chicken. Now we got the chicken breast. If you want to make sure that every bite of this chicken is going to consist of mainly protein, then make sure you guys are taking the time to cut the fat, because first off, no one wants to eat that. I know a lot of times people say, oh, but that's a good part. Well, it may taste good, but it definitely isn't worth the calories and macros. So you don't have to be super precise with this. Just get like the main big chunks. Now we're going to go ahead and just throw this on the pan. There's obviously a lot of ways you can cook your food. For example, you can obviously grill the chicken, you can bake it, or you can use the air fryer. Lots of ways you can do this. Now, one thing that I'll do with my chicken breast is actually, for better and easier cutting, especially on the pan, I'll go ahead and just slice this guy in half like so. So now that they're a bit thinner, they'll cook faster and right through the pan. So these are really big chicken breasts here that contain a lot of the fat, as you can see. So really just get all this excess off here. This is how they get you with the pricing. You know, the more it weighs, the more expensive it is. Well, if you just weigh out only chicken, then you can really get more for your buck. This is just a part of it, part of the journey. I'm not the best cutter, as you can see, but just gotta do with what works. So now we're done with cutting the chicken. We're gonna get our pan ready and basically season it and then be ready to cook. The water's boiling, so what we're gonna do is gently go ahead and pour the potatoes in here. So we're just gonna let that boil for a bit. Pretty much how you know it's ready is when you grab a fork and just start stabbing them. After that, we'll drain it and they should be good to go. Up next, we're gonna cook our chicken. According to your meal plan, if you have olive oil in your meal plan that we're accounting your calories and macros for, then you can use that olive oil to place on your pan so you don't allow your food to get stuck to the pan. But if you don't have that in your meal plan, due to the extra amount of calories that it consists of, go ahead and use non-stick spray. This has 0 calories. You can basically get whatever flavor you want. I just go with the extra virgin olive oil. We're gonna allow the pan to get warm first, but make sure if you're cooking chicken, you're gonna wanna get a digital thermometer. Now, this is going to help know when your chicken is done. And the rule of thumb is going to be about 165 Fahrenheit degrees. So save this for later. Pan is now hot. We're gonna use the non-stick spray. Now again, there's a lot of ways you can marinate or season your chicken. This is again gonna be a very simple way that I do it. So once the pan is nice and hot, I'm just gonna throw these guys on here. And because we cut the chicken in half, that's gonna make the chicken be able to cook a lot faster, and we'll be able to do both sides. Wash your hands. The next thing you're gonna do is go ahead and season your food. If you guys remember, at Sam's Club, we had bought in some new seasonings. We got the grilled chicken, sea salt, garlic, and herbs. We're gonna test that out today. Season your chicken or your foods however you like, and sodium is not bad as long as you're drinking lots of water. Season as much as you like. I always like to go with salt first. Then I'll go with some pepper. And then we'll open up this guy. It smells great. It's got a little lemon kick to it. Season the chicken. So chicken usually takes anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes. But once you start to gauge if the chicken is good, what you're going to do is now grab it and flip it over. Once you flip it over, you can go ahead and season the other side. Let's go ahead and check on our potatoes here. So like I said, a good way to figure this out, if it's done or not, I don't think it's done yet, but you'll grab a fork, and if it goes right through, that's ready. It's ready. It's still pretty hard, so not done yet. So we'll allow the chicken to cook. Just let it simmer. Turn it down a bit. Now we wait. Now we didn't grab any veggies at the store. just to have a little bit here at the house. So we're just gonna saute up some veggies and then we'll sprinkle it along our meal prep. I'm not too sort of strict on veggies because they're very low in calories, so you can have as much as you like to fill you up, but really whatever veggie you prefer, have it. If it's got green on it, that's a good sign. And so we're just gonna go ahead and chop this up and saute it, and then we'll sprinkle it in our meals. These guys are also a very healthy snack here. I'll just cut the top off there, right in half. And with the bell peppers, I kind of like them long, so I'll just cut them in little strips here. Now veggies I like a little bit more fresh, so we might even just have these for the first couple meals. These guys are also a very healthy snack to have on the go. You can have it just like itself or have like a little healthy hummus dressing, whatever you guys want. Probably have to check on the chicken here soon and maybe do one more flip. Obviously when using knifeware, just be careful and don't cut your fingers. Let's check on the chicken here. So nice and crispy. Now, that's how I like my chicken. You can obviously turn it over sooner, but this charcoal makes the chicken a little bit more tasteful. The only thing I would recommend too is maybe do it a little less burnt so that you can also preserve the nutrients. Because typically when you burn the food, it loses its nutrients. So just keep an eye on it and realize I cut these chicken breasts in half and yet they are still so very thick. Maybe another slice through would have been a lot better so it cooks through, but we're gonna just leave it on for about a couple more minutes. Actually, let's go ahead and check it right now to see where we're at. So again, 165 is gonna be the ideal. So we're only at 134. Now different parts of the chicken are gonna show up different numbers. Like this side is probably done with the chicken. We're sitting at 167 and this one's still at 151. Chicken can be very difficult and a little tricky at times. I haven't even perfected cooking chicken yet on the pan. So that's why I like to stick to my grill sometimes, but just make sure it's cooked. Let's go ahead and check on our potatoes. Yep, they pretty much go right through. And these are also nice to have for breakfast too. Like if you just throw them on the pan since they're already cooked and just burn them up a little bit. Can't go wrong with eggs and potatoes in the morning. So we're gonna go ahead and shut this off. That's done. Due to not having a strainer, I'm just gonna go ahead and pour this out, but I'm gonna keep the lid on. This is going to help drain the potatoes without losing any of them. So just wanna make sure all the water's out. We can place it back on the stove. Okay, let's check the chicken. Hopefully it's done here. 169 and 165. Well, that one's at 157. So what we're gonna do is everything else around this part is pretty much good. So it's just this thicker part here. So what we're gonna do, let's go ahead and take this one off. Nice and crispy here. And I'm actually going to cut this part here so that can cook a little bit longer. And that'll make sure that our chicken is good because pretty much this section here is done. So if we have 169 here, and this one's creeping up. So we're almost there. All right, so we'll leave that one on for a little bit. Once that's done, we'll throw on the other pieces of chicken, cook the rest of that. Now the potatoes are good. So pretty much when you have your bowls and your pans, your pots filled up with food, this is when you can start getting out your food containers. Preferably glass meal prep containers are going to be better. It's just gonna help keep the food fresh and you're not messing around with any chemicals when using plastic. I'm gonna check my chicken here. That's done. As you can see, chicken is looking lovely. We'll keep this over here. Let's go ahead and saute the veggies. Once again, we're gonna spray the pan. Now, if you want your veggies to taste better, obviously olive oil or butter is going to help it with the flavor. Now, if that doesn't allow for your calories to stay on track or you allow too much fat, well then just use the spray like I did and it'll do the job. Veggies, do whatever you want with them. You can season them how you want. We'll let that simmer, saute a bit. Here comes the fun part. So, gotta have the food scale. This is how you're going to weigh out your food and make sure that everything is proportioned, as well as knowing you're using the correct measurements that will equal up to your calorie and macro goals. So what I'm gonna do for simplicity is go ahead and prep 3 meals worth of potato, 3 meals worth of white rice, and then we can decide what protein options we want with those carbs. White rice has 3 minutes left. Once we're done with the chicken, we're gonna start with the ground beef, and that ground beef is gonna be very easy and quick to cook, in which we'll be almost done with our meal prep. Like I said at Sam's, avocado is very healthy in fats. They're pretty hard right off the bat because they're fresh. I try to go with the most soft one to eat first, in which they're all kind of hard right now, so they're probably not as ripe as we'd like. So you're gonna cut the avocado in half here. You could cut it in half, or you can just peel it. Believe it or not, This is worth also weighing out so you can make sure you're getting the correct amounts. Again, just a reminder, meal prep does not have to be pretty, does not have to be perfect, as long as you are good to go for the week with your meals. They are all dialed in with your calories and macros. That is the biggest key to success. A lot of you guys are trying to lose weight, burn fat, build muscle. This is going to be the best bet to staying on track during the week. Sounds like the rice is done. That beautiful sticky rice there. And I'm not too picky, so I'm just gonna cut the chicken right here on this. So typically what I'd like to do is just cut them in long pieces like this. I would just like to chop it up. Makes it easier to eat when it's ready to go. Since the rice is done, we're gonna do the typical ground beef and potatoes, white rice and chicken. If you're in my program, you're gonna have your meal plan. And in your specific meal plan, there'll be the foods that you're gonna cook, but then on the right side, you're gonna have the amount of food that you're gonna actually eat. So this is why you need a food scale, because you need to weigh out your food to make sure you're eating the proper amounts. For me, this week, I'm gonna have about 150 grams of rice. I'm gonna weigh everything out here. We're gonna aim for 150. And give or take 1 to 2 grams, 3 grams maybe, like it's not gonna make or break your progress, but the more accuracy, the better. What I typically do is I'll get one food source knocked out of the way. So I'll get all the rice done. So we're about 8 grams over. What I'll do is just grab like a little bit here, put it back in. Perfect. 151 is great. One more time. If you guys don't mind having food that is maybe 4 or 5 days old, so be it. I used to do that when I was doing my bodybuilding competition, and it would allow me to have literally from Monday through Friday all my meals done, and that was super key to staying on track. Now let's measure out the chicken. Anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces of chicken is going to be ideal. The more chicken, the better. Chicken is very high in protein, so 6 ounces or maybe even 170 grams of chicken, you're gonna get almost about 50 grams of protein. How we're gonna do this is grab your tongs here, toss it on there, weigh it out. We're gonna go for 170 grams. Okay, lots of protein. So we're at 169, that's perfect. A little shakeroo. And this is basically what I'm going to be eating for the week. So that's 100 grams, 170 there. One more time. Now, as you guys can see, it can get a little bit tedious. Nonetheless, you have to realize you're saving yourself also a bunch of time during the week and the weekend, and you don't necessarily have to worry about what you're gonna eat, how much you're gonna eat. This is the true way of being able to see progress. Perfect, look at that, 170. Now we got rice and chicken. Next up, we got potatoes. Potatoes are very clean as well, just mainly carbs, not much proteins or fats. So we're gonna go for about 180 grams of potatoes, which that's 180 grams there. 180 grams there. I get asked this a lot. What do you do with all the rest of the food? Well, just go ahead and put it in containers, save it for later, because this is only 3 days worth. Obviously, I could do more days, and this would basically fill up those days. But for the sake of the video, we're just doing 3 days worth of meals, and we're just gonna pack this up and put it away. So avocados are high in fats, but healthy fats, though they do contain more calories because of the grams of fat. So typically, I like to just try and aim for anywhere from 50 to 70 grams of avocado. And usually that'll equal up to about a half of avocado. So we got 50 there, close enough. This one might need a little bit more, but that should be good. All right, so for the rest of the chicken, we're just gonna cut it up and then prep it for another day. Sometimes I like to do a little taste test. Pretty good. Now, chicken is always gonna taste much better when it's fresh, but that's why you need to season it up how you like it so that when you do eat it, it's still good. A hack I like to do is whenever I am ready to eat this during the week, I typically will just throw it back on the pan so it just freshens up. Microwave is okay, but if you want it to be a lot more fresh, just throw it back on the pan. So we're saving this for another day. All right, so last but not least, we got the ground beef. This is gonna take a couple minutes here just to cook. So we're gonna cook 2 of these, and basically we'll put it with the potatoes, and then we'll sprinkle on the veggies, and we should be good to go. So be right back. I'm gonna cook this real quick, and we'll show you the final product. Guys, we are almost finished up here. Last but not least, we got the lean ground beef. We're gonna also do about 170 grams here. And because it's already pretty lean, you don't have to drain it. If you did drain it, just know that it'd be a bit leaner than the one you got. So that's about 170 there. 2 more to go. It's about 180, so we'll grab some off here. One more time. Ground beef is solid. All right. So there you have it, guys. That is pretty much how the meal prep goes. I'm gonna go ahead and just transfer over the leftovers here. We got some very charcoaled veggies here. I'm just gonna sprinkle this on a little bit each here. Again, I didn't cook as much, but also knowing that I like to cook my veggies a little bit more fresh, so ahead of time. Little can go a long way here. So we got green beans, bell peppers, there you go, voila. If you guys have leftovers, either you can make more days worth of food or you can just box it up here on the side. Basically, I will have about 2 lunches throughout the day, and then dinner and breakfast will be cooked fresh. We got the eggs, and a lot of times for me, I'll weigh things out when wifey's cooking. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll also have maybe the bagel for a snack with a protein shake, but that's pretty much what a day of meal prepping looks like from start to finish. The last thing I'll talk about is condiments. What is allowed, what's appropriate, and let me go ahead and grab some to show you what that looks like. So here are pretty much some of the sauces that I use. Now, the go-to one, the safest bet is going to be either hot sauce with 0 calories or mustard, 0 calories. They pretty much taste good with any of these foods. These guys are going to be sauces or condiments that do contain calories. Just keep in mind when you do use condiments, making sure that you read the nutrition label correctly so that you're not adding too many calories to these healthy food options. There's a reason why people are still gaining weight when they think they're eating healthy like this. They're ruining it with sauces like this. Last option here, this is actually a really solid breakfast condiment, sugar-free or low-calorie syrup. Typically, I'll add this with my eggs, some potatoes, and ground beef. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, it tastes really good. So those are just some options there. You can obviously get different brands of these, but that's pretty much it, guys. There's how to meal prep from start to finish in a nutshell. If you guys have any specific questions or would like some extra help, you can also book in a free consultation where we'll talk more about your goals, struggles, and figure out how to nutritionally plan ahead so that you guys can get the best results. And if you're a client of mine, this is pretty much how it looks like. If you're wanting to learn how to meal prep the foods that I gave you, it's pretty simple, but if you guys have any questions, you can also hit me up and ask anytime. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. Like always, God bless. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. I'm just kidding.